Quantum physics is the science which explains how human conscious thinking and subconscious thinking affects the material world of people, planets, and things. Neuroplasticity is the science that determines how the brain is rewired via information. Information arrives in two forms. We have internal and external information. External information is a byproduct of the beliefs of people who raised you when your brain was most susceptible to outside influences. Internal information is the tapestry of your beliefs. Nurtured beliefs are the beliefs of the people who raised you when your brain was most susceptible to information. Internal nurtured beliefs are the beliefs of the people who raised you, who repeated to you their beliefs so many times over such a long time that your mind then captured that information. The moment your mind embraced that information is literally the moment you've lost your mind to another mind. Now, the mind operates in energy and the brain operates in frequency. Frequencies are also known as vectors in linear space. Frequencies are communal. And that means that frequencies can communicate, associate, and are influenced by each other. Your thought frequencies percolate down through your body and influence the frequencies that your body naturally emits to the extent that your body starts to adjust its frequency based on the frequency of your brain, the frequency of your thoughts, the frequency of your perceptions. Over time then, the brain then starts to percolate and bleed its frequencies down into the body, and the body captures those frequencies. Now, our systems and organs and cells all vibrate at a frequency unique to the frequency in that system or organ. Thought frequencies affect these frequencies. Our cells then adjust the frequencies over time to the frequency of the brain and the frequency of the mind. The moment the cells adjust their frequencies to the frequency of the brain is the moment that they memorize this, and this is called cellular memory. So all of a sudden now, the body is vibrating at a frequency based on our perceptions, which is based on our beliefs, which is a derivative of the thoughts and the beliefs of the people who raised us, and literally now our body starts to vibrate at that frequency. So the science of biology shows us that stress thoughts produce stress chemicals. Illness is a result of unbalanced vibrations flowing through the body. So stress chemicals affect our emotional state of being, and the emotional state of being then adjusts the frequencies that the body naturally emits to the extent that the body starts to break down in accordance with stress thoughts. These thoughts are an emergent result of the thoughts and beliefs of the people who raised us. So the people who raised us then determine our state of being, who we are. They determine our psychology. Our psychology then determines our actions. So in other words, we act in the future based on the beliefs of the people who raised us, because the body has captured this as a state of being, and when it captures it as a state of being, it develops it as a personality, and our personality determines our actions. So therefore, you might say to me, I'm an independent person making independent choices in an independent world, in an independent mind with an independent body. But in fact, we're not. We're literally just living on the show that our mother and father created. So our parents are still running the show. And that is how frequencies are affected by the beliefs of the people who raised us, which activate chemicals in the body, which cause illness and disease and stress and anxiety. So stress and anxiety is just the body's natural way of saying to you, you're not living by your purpose. You're not living by your passion. You're living by the indoctrination of other people. This is not the real you. This is the masked up you. And we wear a mask every day. So every day that we wake up in the morning time, in that first 60 seconds of our waking day, the brain activates and it goes from unconscious to conscious. And in that conscious state then, it takes a blueprint of how we lived yesterday. And that blueprint of how we lived yesterday was determined by the people who raised us. And it takes that blueprint and it repeats that blueprint into today. So literally our tomorrow becomes an emergent result of yesterday. And then our problems keep proliferating over and over again. And that's how frequencies affect the body. And stress then is just the body's way of saying to you, listen to your soul. Listen to your authenticity. Listen to your integrity, because you're living by somebody else's indoctrination. So let's go in there for a moment. You have one brain which houses two conscious minds spanning two brain hemispheres known as the left and right hemispheres. These hemispheres have individual personalities. These hemispheres have different ways of seeing and experiencing the world outside of you. In fact, they are two different people thinking two different things, all housed inside one brain. Your left brain is very good at words and conceptualizing. This is the way it understands the world outside of you. This is the conscious ego thinking brain. This brain thinks in linear form, progressing from one stage in the past to a future stage in the future, past the present moment on its way to tomorrow. In other words, this brain builds the future based on the past. So in essence then, this ego brain, this left brain, thinks that it's you and convinces you with the story and continues with that story until one day it convinces you that it is you and you are it. And the moment that you believe that it is you and you are it is the moment that you are disconnected from opportunities. It's the moment that you're caught up in your old blueprint. The right brain, on the other hand, thinks in images. In fact, if you show an image to the right brain, it will declare that it didn't see anything. But this right brain is the brain of new opportunities. It's the creative brain, the dreaming brain, the big picture thinking brain. It is all involved in the present moment right now and the future. Its job and its function is to build your future. And this brain conflicts with the left brain. So the right brain's job is that dreaming, thinking brain. It is the brain that we want to step into. It is the area and creates the reality within our brain that houses the new opportunities, that houses that new dream. It's the brain that takes your dream and turns it into reality. Information in the form of vibrating energy is picked up by your body's senses. That information then is wrapped up into what we might call a big bag of Lego, a big bag of pieces that all needs to be put together. This big bag of Lego then is sent into the right brain. The right brain then has all of these opportunities sitting in that right brain. That information then is sent into the left brain. The left brain then takes all of this information and puts it together into a shape, into a form that you would call order. It is this order that you call your life. So the left brain then determines your life. So the right brain is the brain of opportunity, and the left brain is the brain known as the brain of certainty. Certainty means that the left brain does not want to wander into something that it doesn't know. It only loves to live in the area that it knows. So in other words, this left brain is the brain that shuts down our dreams and our opportunities. So the right brain is the brain of future and opportunity, and the left brain is the brain of past and certainty. Now, what that means is this. We have two brains, and these two brains are at war with each other. And because of this war, you are stuck in your life. Now, this left brain hides behind a family of familiar narratives, such as, don't do it, you're not worthy of it, you'll never make it, you look silly, go back to sleep, I've got everything in charge, I'm in control, I can look after everything for you. And then again, the moment that you fall into that doctrine and that dynamic is the moment again you're even more separated from your opportunities. Now, the brain has a survival mechanism. And within that survival mechanism, it ensures that we work together in communities. We call these communities neighbors. So we work together in conglomerates and groups of neighbors. When we collect and combine the collective of thinking of a group of neighbors or a group of community, we call this culture. So it's also known as normal. So we're deemed normal as long as we follow the mentality of the culture. So herd culture becomes the norm, and now your dreams are back in your past where they don't belong. The moment that we fall for the cultural belief is the moment that we're stuck in our life. And the moment that we try to change that, we need to be ready because we're going to be in for a battle from our community. So in other words, your determination will need to be bigger than any cultural belief. Your inspiration will need to be bigger than any internal doubt that you've harnessed and created for yourself. And the moment then that you do that, and the moment that you start to separate from your culture, you better be in for and ready for another war, because you'll be laughed at, ridiculed, questioned, doubt, and all of that mentality that surrounds us keeps us stuck in that old reality, in that old place. Well, the left brain is using a blueprint to put all of these pieces, to take this Lego set and put all of these pieces together so that it can determine how you live, how you love, and who you should be. So to find this blueprint, it accesses your past indoctrinated mind, where your old beliefs live. Now your parents are back running the show. So it uses that blueprint to put all of these pieces together so that it can determine tomorrow. So in other words, your tomorrow and your today becomes a pattern of tomorrow based on the past patterns of yesterday. So in other words, your life yesterday, with all of its problems and difficulties and worries and stresses, becomes your life tomorrow, harboring the same problems, stresses, and difficulties that you harbored in the past. And by living by the determination of that blueprint ensures and guarantees that we keep bumping into our problems from yesterday tomorrow. In other words, we can literally predict our future based on the past patterns of yesterday. So in other words, if you want to know what your future looks like, just find your blueprint. To find your blueprint, just look at your past indoctrinated mind. To find your indoctrinated mind, just look at how your parents raised you and how your educators taught you. And develop from that the pattern that you're living by today. And the moment then that you can determine that by living by that pattern today, you're going to continue to live by that pattern tomorrow, is the moment then that you will know that your tomorrow is just going to be a reflection of yesterday. In other words, nothing changes and nothing alters. Your left brain is driven by your emotions. It's driven by your body. So the body sits there with its 37.2 trillion cells. And each of those cells in your body have what's called effector and receptor sites. About 15,000 to 100,000, depending on the cell, effector and receptor sites. These effector receptor sites have a function. They have a primary role. And that primary role is to prepare themselves for chemicals that are delivered into the body, into the cellular level of us. In other words, we've 37.2 trillion cells with effector and receptor sites, which act as loading ducts for information. Information comes in the shape of chemicals. So over time then, as an energy preservation mechanism, the human body has learned to take over the mind. So the mind now is no longer in control, and now it's our emotions that are in control. So therefore, self-development is not just about mind control. Self-development is also about emotional mastery. Without emotional mastery, there is no new, there is no more, there is no greater. So the body then becomes addicted to pain. For example, we take a drug addict, and the drug addict sits down and determines that he wants or she wants to break away from her or his habitual habit of taking drugs. So they have an idea. So they have a dream. So the mind is wandering into their dream, and they're infatuating with their dream. And they make that determination to stick with that dream. But 2 days later, the body, the emotional addicted body, the chemically addicted body, is sitting on the couch in agony and pain, convincing the brain to give up on its dream, to go back and to take the chemical, to take the drug. Now, internally, we have the same mechanism. We have the same pharmaceutical production center that produces chemicals. So in other words, the body becomes addicted to chemicals. With our 37.2 trillion cells, with effector and receptor sites, as an energy preservation mechanism, the human cell will adjust its receptor site in anticipation of a past chemical that it has been receiving over a period of time. And the moment that the human cell makes that adjustment and adjusts itself to receive that chemical as an energy preservation mechanism so that it does not have to keep adjusting all of the time, the moment that adjustment is made, that's called an addiction. So just like the addict is addicted to a drug, we as humans become addicted to our thoughts, because thoughts produce chemicals, and chemicals act as messengers to a cell. So in other words, the drug addict being addicted to the chemical makes a determination to leave that, just like you and I sit one day and make a determination that we want to be more abundant, or we want to find a relationship of our dreams, or whatever that might be for you. And in doing that, the body is on a completely different trajectory, because the body in that moment has a communication pathway to the brain and says to the brain, hey, you've got this new idea, but down here, I'm chemically and emotionally addicted to my regret, my self-doubt, my judgment, my self-judgment, my anger, my regret, my difficulty, my guilt, my shame. And the moment that the brain tries to break free from that is the moment that the body kicks into gear and takes over the show, and now the emotions are driving the show. So the body is able to convince the brain to stop doing the new things that it does, because the new things that it does means that it's going to live in the absence of the chemical that it has become addicted to. And the moment that the body makes the determination that it doesn't want to make its addiction and break away from its addiction is the moment then that, again, we're even more separated from our greater opportunities. So that's left brain. So left brain has become very skillful in the art of seduction. So the left brain is the brain that kind of wakes you up every day. It's like a stalker that has found its way into your home and who cooks you breakfast each morning and leaves a note for you on the kitchen table telling you how to live that day. And you immediately conform to its demands, even though its demands are not inspiring to you. And that is how the body becomes addicted to those emotions. So to answer that question, we have to understand how this left brain functions. So your left brain is not designed so that you can drive a Maserati, live in the Caribbean and have your dinner cooked by a housemaid. These are human constructs and concepts which we chase in the hope of finding happiness. This is your survival mechanism at work. This is your survival brain at work. And this left brain sits way beyond the abyss of the wild frontiers of your subconscious mind. In other words, you cannot connect with it on demand. This left brain is aware of you and knows everything that's happening in your life. This left brain convinces you that it is you and that you are not it. This left brain convinces you that you must live by its indoctrination. And this left brain lives behind a family of familiar narratives that you've been falling for all your life, such as you're not worthy enough, you're not good enough, you'll never make it, go back to sleep, as we mentioned earlier. This left brain knows that if you find it, you will want to retire to the far outer regions of your mind where it can no longer control you. And for that reason, it hides behind your self-doubt. This is the brain that tells you that you are not capable. This is the brain that tells you that you are not worthy. This is the brain that tells you that you cannot achieve. And in a survival state of being, this brain has strength beyond the strength of the human body. And in doing that, the human body then, from an emotional perspective, has strength greater than the thinking brain. To dream then, we need to break the addiction that the body has embraced to past chemical experiences of pain and difficulty. We have to break our addiction to allowing the body to control our dream and to control our mind. So to dream then means that all we have to do is to trick the body. And we can trick the body. And we can trick the body to believing that the future reality that we wish to create emotionally in the body has already been created, and that dream and vision of our future that we wish to step into is present right now emotionally in the body at this present time. In other words, if we have become addicted to emotions of the past, which we have, if those emotions are the blueprint that design tomorrow, which they do, and if that design is the design of yesterday, which it is, and if the body has become addicted to that emotionally, which it has done, well then, doesn't that beg the question? If our indoctrinators have taught us how to train our body to live in the current life and convince the body that this is a good state of being, a good place to be, surely then, if we replace that indoctrination, which is old information, and we replace that indoctrination with new information, doesn't it mean then in that moment that we'll start to produce new chemicals? And this is how the meditation started to work. And most people missed the golden nugget in meditation. They missed the power of their human mind. And the power of the human mind determines that we can feed our old brain new information. And that new information, with the repetitiveness of that new information over time, will literally rewire the brain. And when we rewire our brain, we produce new chemicals. And when we produce new chemicals, those chemicals do what chemicals do. And they influence the body, and they bleed down into our body. And as they bleed down into our body, and we do that every single day, and we act beyond our doubt, beyond our criticism, beyond our cultural beliefs, over a period of time, the body then will become emotionally addicted to that new chemical. And all of a sudden then the old chemical of regret, failure, I can't do, I'm not good enough, I mustn't, I'm not able to do this, whatever that might be, is replaced in that instant. And in that instant is the moment that people tell us that they come out of the meditation and they have the OMG moment. And in that OMG moment, they tell us, I feel different, I feel better. I can literally see the future reality, and I can feel that future reality in my viscera, in my gut, in my stomach. And the moment that we feel that future reality in our stomach, in our gut, in our viscera, is the moment then that we've literally convinced the body that the future reality that we wish to create is now present right now in this moment. And the moment that we do that, wouldn't you conclude, and shouldn't we agree that in that moment, there is no need for doubt? Because doubt is no longer going to be serving. Because as far as the body is concerned, the future dream is right here, right now in this moment, and therefore doubt is irrelevant. So, to answer the question, is it pointless dreaming? It's pointless dreaming unless we convince the body that the dream has occurred and happened. And to do that, all we have to do is repeat that every single day. And in our meditation, in our dreaming, thinking day, as we're walking around our life, as we walk around our life, we need to keep feeling this new future in our stomach. And the moment that that happens is the moment that change has affected itself into your life, and then your dream becomes your reality. So in other words, literally, you can make the unbelievable real by believing it in your body. Thoughts on sickness. So, the left brain lives on false limiting perceptions. Now, these false limiting perceptions are the perceptions that build your mask for you every single day. This is the mask that you wear as you present yourself to the world and everyone in it, convincing everybody in the world that your life is good. And in doing this then, you convince everybody in the world that your life is good, so much so that one day you fall for the illusion of your own lie, and now you have permission to feel good about feeling bad. Over time then, the toxic leak of subconscious negative chemicals influences the body, unbalances our energy centers, causing illness and disease. So in other words, we have a subconscious stream of chemicals backed by our limiting perceptions on life and ourselves and everything in it. And this stream of subconscious chemicals acts subconsciously. In other words, we're not aware of them. And they act beyond our aware mind, our logical thinking mind. And we think that the logical thinking mind is in charge and in control, but the logical thinking mind can only absorb and act on 60,000 bits of information per second, but the brain is acknowledging and absorbing over 4 million bits of information per second, all based on information, all producing chemicals. So in other words, humans subconsciously make ourselves sick. Now therefore, if a constant stream of subconscious toxic chemicals can downgrade a human body, creating illness and disease, anxiety and depression, arthritis, MS in a human body, based on subconscious thinking, well then another question is begged. And that other question says this: if we change our thinking and we change our emotional expression, can we reverse engineer the process that created our illness and disease in the first place? And the answer is an unequivocal yes. Humans can think ourselves well. And that is what we call SRD, spontaneous remission from disease. And the key is to change your mind and to change your body. And dreams alone and thoughts alone don't get us there. We have to become masters of our own emotions. And the moment that you master your emotions is the moment that you have full, unequivocal, unquestionable control of your entire future. And then you're back in the driver's seat. And that's how the body and mind works.